There are some people you meet through martial arts that leave a lasting impression, not just because of their skill, but because of who they are as a person. Muriel Palanca is one of those people. I've known Muriel for quite some time now. We've trained together, shared the mats, road trips, even holidays. We've had the kind of memories that remind you what friendship, community, and jiu-jitsu is really all about. In this episode, we dive deep into her journey from growing up on the East Coast to moving out west to traveling the world solo for years while living a minimalist lifestyle. She opens up what sparked the journey, the lessons learned from a loss, and how faith, resilience, and jiu-jitsu shaped her outlook on life. We'll also talk about what it's like running a martial arts school, balancing business with purpose, and building a community that truly supports one another. Muriel is someone I've always had a lot of respect for, not just as a martial artist, but as a person who's chosen to live life with courage, intention, and heart. I'm beyond excited to have her on the podcast. This one's going to inspire you. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Kumite Lifestyle. Right now, I'm super excited to have my good friend Muriel Palanca on, also known as Happy Travel Cone. So, guys, make sure to give her a follow on social media. Now, Muriel is someone, like I said, someone I've known for a while, and it's pretty awesome to bring on different guests. But today, I get to bring on someone that I've really connected with before you moved. So, I definitely want to talk about your time back here home on the East Coast, Delaware, more specifically, and then your adventures out to the West Coast. Because, man, you left me out here. Like, I don't get to see you anymore.
Put you in my luggage. I miss you. You're one of my best friends, and I know that we don't stay in touch too often, but we're the type of friendship that it's like we can always pick up where we left off. Like you could call me 10 years from now and we'll still be good. You know what I mean?
For sure, for sure. It's one of those cool friendships, like you said. We don't have to like talk all the time, but we just know that it's there, and that's the cool thing about our friendship. And let's kind of talk about that because our friendship started more specifically in the realms of martial arts, jiu-jitsu, if you want to be exact. And for those
Mhm.
out there yeah, listening and watching, jiu-jitsu is a form of martial arts, and that's essentially how Mira and I met. And so let's start there. My first memory of you was when you actually came to, at the time, Delaware Bushido Academy, and I want to say you were here just for a little bit because you were training in Baltimore, right?
I
Uh,
was, and I was also traveling.
yeah, so I know you're a big avid traveler or were an avid traveler, and I know that's still your mindset because I don't think that ever leaves us. So I want to start with jujitsu. So because that's the connection we have, like I said, I met you that time when you came up here to Delaware. What is your recollection of that? So, like, if you had to tell the story of how we met or where this friendship begins, how would you frame it or how would you present it?
It was funny. I don't really remember the details of how we first met, but I remember the first time I saw you, I thought you were Filipino, which you are not. Do people see us by the way, or is it all like vocal
What do you mean?
for the podcast?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, so people will see our screens. Yep.
Oh, that's cool, cool, cool. See, we could look like we could be we're like brother from another mother, sister from another sister type of thing, and even though you're not Filipino, like I felt this instant like familial type of connection to you. Like Nick, anyone who meets you, anyone who knows of you, I feel like they'll say the same thing and agree that you are just such a likable guy. Like I just feel like instant trust, you're just a good person and like who you are inside like radiates so like profoundly, and I liked you and I was like, you can be friends with this guy, like I want to be friends with this guy and I feel like you're that type of person that you could be friends with anyone. And so I'm happy to be friends with you.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, it means a lot. And you know, it's crazy how these friendships are kind of transcending right over time because I mean, I felt the same way, when I met you, but more specifically when we started hanging out and that was gosh, I mean, that was during the COVID era, right? I mean, that's
Yeah.
when we started getting more close and you got close with my roommate Hunter
Yes.
who's still my roommate today and yeah, like we still we still talk of you, we still have fond memories. Yeah, because you used to come over literally all the
Yeah.
time, and it was almost like spur of the moment. And then Oh man, like one specific memory I have, again, just talking about jujitsu is when we were here training at the academy. And do you remember when we did that outside training where
Yes.
I
We were, like, I think I wore a dress. Like the concept of it was like Howard was like Sensei Howard
no, you're
wanted us
good.
to wear street clothes because a fight will probably break out when you're on the street and you're not necessarily wearing your gi or your rash guard. So you need to be able to fight wearing your street clothes. And just for kicks, I wanted to wear a dress.
Yeah,
And we
yeah.
rolled in the grass together.
Yep. And I believe there's still a video surfacing somewhere on your
Yes.
Instagram.
I was definitely on my Instagram.
Yeah, so like you'll have to
Somewhere.
pull that up maybe, like share that as a story or something because yeah, it'd be pretty cool. But yeah, so we had a chance to really connect there, and for those that don't do jujitsu, people might have their own fixation on it, but anyone that's trained it knows like it really is a contact type of activity. And I forgot who told me this, but I remember hearing something a while back, and it was really profound that once you make a connection with someone in jujitsu physical, like you have a lifetime of connection with them, whether you like it or not. And for us, it's almost like organically we took it to the next level. We started hanging out. I got a chance to meet your family, which was really cool. And I remember when you invited me over for Thanksgiving that
Thanksgiving.
one time. Yeah.
Yes, that was
Yeah.
super fun.
Yeah,
And
that
I
was.
think we watched the correct me if I'm wrong, I think we watched 32 Principles after
Yeah,
from
because it had just came
Canada.
out. Yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, because it just came out, and yeah, and then we just kept going from there. And then um but aside from that, I remember just I don't know, there's random nights when we would just be, I don't know, sitting in the living room, whether it was just you and I or Hunter or whoever we were hanging out with at that time. I remember you were always like somehow in our conversations, you would always share something pretty profound about your traveling experiences. And I've told you this many times, but there's on your website or your blog, there's a poem or a story you wrote. It's like Mr. Right Now. And I think that's one of the most yes, you guys got to check that out. So, do you still have that blog up?
I
Is it
do. I do. I use it as like my online portfolio and to help me get jobs, but also to, express myself and have a little piece of myself out in the world.
Yeah, and you've always been really good at expressing yourself, whether it was verbally or in person or just writing it out. So that was definitely captivating. And you've written some amazing stuff just about your experiences traveling. So I want to dive into that if you don't mind. So I know you
Sure.
don't travel as
Yeah.
much now, but let's go back. When like for you traveling, especially solo and as a
Yeah.
female too, especially in this crazy world, like what was kind of like that driving force that, you're like, you know what? F it. I'm gonna go travel. I'm gonna go do this. Like, like where does that start,
Yes.
Muriel?
I will tell you, it's death and taxes. I know it sounds ridiculous, so I'll explain.
Yep.
I had I can also start with the taxes part first. I worked a lot when I was in Baltimore. So I worked in clinical research, but then I also did promo gigs on the side in the evening. So I would like from 7 to 4 was my day job, from 6 to 11 was like my promo work. And then on the weekends I do 12-hour shifts for different companies at events. And I loved it, and I didn't have anyone to come home to. I didn't have um like a significant other. I didn't have any kids. I still don't have any kids. And so I was working a lot, and I remember because I made so much extra money, I ended up paying a lot extra in taxes, which just kind of put a bad taste in my mouth. Like it was the equivalent of like a 2.5 week paycheck at my day job that I had to shell out extra for
Mm,
taxes.
yeah.
And then as far as the death part, I had this friend when I used to work in Lancaster. I have done so many jobs, by the way, like so many freaking jobs. One of them I used to work at Sprint, and I don't know if Sprint is still around.
I think so.
Or
Yeah.
it got absorbed like T-Mobile or something. I don't know, but
I
like
think
I
so.
used to work at Sprint, and I had a friend, Georgetta, who worked at Texas Roadhouse, and she came to me as a customer, but she became one of my best friends. And like a quick random memory with her, she had visited me at work, and I was having a particularly bad day, and she's like, "Why don't you take a break? Come with me." And my kiosk is in the mall, so we go to the mall. We're at the mall, and so she gets a bottle of liquor in a brown paper bag, and I'm like, this this was really shady. And she's like, okay, let's make it more like inconspicuous. So she took up a permanent marker and wrote books down the side. So it's a bottle in a brown paper bag that says books in it. And it's like, yeah, that doesn't look suspicious at all. But she was a very good friend, like a very bright spirit, kind of the same way you are. And she died very suddenly. Out of the blue, and what I'd heard was that something to do with like she's complaining about a pain in her side. She went into the hospital on Friday, and then on Monday she was pronounced dead. Like, and she was young. I want to say maybe like 23 years old. And I found out about that through Facebook. Um, and it broke my heart, because she's just such a wonderful person. And so that death in combination with paying a lot in taxes. I remember sitting in my cubicle and it's like, what is life? Like, why am I working so hard? I'm making money and trading my time for money, which is fine. But well, what am I doing with my life? Like, what's the whole point? So
Yeah.
those were the big catalysts for wanting to travel. So within those events happening, I want to say within about a month and a half to 2 months, I had like formulated my plan and quit my job and proceeded to travel the world for 4 years. And I lived off my savings, and I also made money while traveling, and I had an absolute blast. All the places I've been to, the people that I met, the jobs that I had abroad, the volunteering, the places that I lived, and being able to live on very little,
Yeah.
like being very minimal, and just like what I have is whatever I can carry. Um, that was actually a very freeing lifestyle, and as counterintuitive as it sounds, I felt so rich with having the least that I've ever had in my life. Like I felt like I had the most, even though looking at it, I didn't really have much. Like, I had a lot. It was great.
Yeah. And something that you've always shared with me and something that I always take from you is that you can make more money, but you can't make more time. And that's one thing
Yes.
that yeah, like I pay attention to people and like, sometimes we hear things from friends or people we don't know, and it's just like, wow, like that's actually pretty deep. And it doesn't connect with us till later on, but it's crazy how like a life event or something so significant like death, it's crazy how we like wake up when, someone dies or we like realize like, man, like our time on this earth is so short. I mean, we can't take any of it with us, so and I love that you have that mindset of just go for it. And that's one thing that I've always effing admired about you is like you don't care, you just go with it. And I wish more people, even myself, had that mindset of like, no, like let's just see how this goes. And thankfully, jujitsu Muriel has definitely taught me that more as
Yeah.
I've been doing it because a lot of what we do on the mat transcends to what we do in everyday life. So,
Yes.
so going back to like your travels, so you're traveling, you're basically basically living off your savings but still making money. So obviously there's still some type of plan there. So of all the places you've been, like what was that place where you're like, yes, this is what I was put on earth to do? Or maybe it was, a couple places,
Paul. I
Nepal.
talk about
Yeah,
Nepal a lot. It's become a bit of a running joke with me and my partner Jose and our friends that I talk about Nepal a lot. And I do though because it was such a formative experience for me, and so much so that it's the only country that I've been to twice, like not counting the US, but like it's the only place that I visited twice.
sure.
One was for kicks and for tracking, and the second time around was for an adventure guide program, which is for 3 months. So I basically learned how to be a guide, like specific, and the things I learned were like rock climbing, tracking, wilderness first aid, um, and then like white water, not rafting. It's like white water rescue stuff, which is kind of ironic because okay, I'm gonna tell y'all a not so secret. Um, I did not learn how to swim until I was 26 years old, and by the way, I'm 34 right now. So I went through my whole life not really being able to swim. And honestly, right now, I still kind of can't. But the way I learned how to swim, for those of you who may not know how or are afraid or you feel like you're too old, I learned in Greece. So I visited a friend on an island in Greece, and the way it was set up was imagine an island, right? And the water was like a a consistent depth of, I want to say about 4.5 feet, about football length away from shore. So like shore football field. And so from there, it was like 4.5 feet, and I'm 5'7". So I could swim around and not be afraid that I was going to drown.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Obviously don't know how to swim because this is how I
Yeah.
swim.
And guys out there listening, all you have to do is just know how to tread water. You don't have to be the best swimmer, but continue.
Water like 4 feet wide.
Hey,
So don't go to 5 feet.
as, as long as you're living, right? As long as you're breathing.
Yeah, yeah. So, but that's how I learned to swim.
No, that's awesome. So you mentioned Nepal twice and then Greece.
Yes.
It's amazing. And I remember one time you were telling me that, and I forgot what place it was. But you were talking about living arrangements and like just living with strangers and just, um,
Australia. Oh,
yeah,
can I talk a little bit about that? Like,
absolutely.
and for people who are interested, like I have a lot of young students at the school, as in like high school going into college or maybe in their early 20s.
Sure.
And at the school, by the way, I'm talking about is the War Room School Jiu-Jitsu. My partner, Jose Garcia, is the head professor and owner of the school, and we have students and we run it together. He does most of the work though, but I have become I guess someone that a lot of people look up to or like an authority figure at that school. So I do hold myself to a very high standard, and I also give a lot of advice to the youngins. One of the things I like to tell people about is it's called the working holiday visa in Australia. If you are under 30 years old, you can get a visa to live and work in Australia for about a year, and you can extend it by doing farm work for a few months, and by doing that, you can extend it to I think 2 years. Caveat: this information is based off of back when I did it. Things may have changed, and I had to look at the current like things going on right now. But this is how it was back in my day, a couple of years ago. But I highly recommend it because you can make really good money working in Australia, and I'll tell you how much I made. So I made anywhere from 25 to $35 Australian per hour at various jobs I did. And that translates to about 18 to $25 US. Uh, and so that was back then. Things may have changed and become more lucrative. But for someone just landing in another country, that's pretty awesome to be able to make that type of money, And I lived in a hostel for the first, actually, pretty much the whole time that I was there, but just at different hostels. But I spent a significant amount of time in Melbourne, Australia. I want to say about 3 months in a place called St. Kilda, and the hostel, I think last I checked, I think it got shut down during COVID, or it got revamped or something. But I remember checking at some point a little after COVID, and it said it was permanently closed. Um, and it left me, I can't remember what it was called at the moment, but it was in St. Kilda. And I lived there for a solid 3 months. I lived in, I chose a room where there were 16 people in it. And I think per week, uh, I want to say I paid like a little over $100 Australian per week to live in a hostel and then have a kitchen. It was close to everything. And what was nice about Melbourne is that they have the trams, so it was very easy for me to transport myself and to get around without like a vehicle per
Yeah.
se. So I could work and go to my job from where I was living without a vehicle.
No, that's awesome. And like just um and the reason why I asked specifically about the living arrangements because I know for myself, I mean, we're so fixated in our own ways of how we live. And I mean, I've traveled here and there, not to the extent of what you have, and not because I couldn't, just because I've chosen not to. But the more that I've listened to you and just, man, like every day as we get older, I'm thinking like it's like what are we doing with our time? I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, I love hearing the story that you just shared about, the hostel and living with like strangers and like would you say like because you mentioned like being playing a big role at the academy and I can relate to that because I've been doing this role now for the last 5 years as far as being
Yeah.
here with
Yeah.
um with Howard and just I mean I don't own the place but when he's away traveling or teaching GSTs, like I am the man for a week, sometimes
You
two
are.
weeks. And I remember you said something pretty profound and like it's still stuck with me today. And I like I think when you left, you were a blue belt, I think, right? And I was also
Yes.
a blue belt. And
Yes.
like you gave me one of the best compliments. You said, Nick, like you're like one of the best instructors I've ever been around. And
You are.
yeah, and like I like thank you so much for that because sometimes like I know I'm good at what I do because this is like I mean I put my like my heart and soul into this place, but to hear it from your peers, it means a little bit more, and like and I just that's one thing that I always admired you because you were just straight up honest because we've had conversations about certain things and you've been like no I don't like that and but you always justify it. So it's cool how you can justify traveling. So I'm curious, would you recommend, like, do you think at some point, if it's feasible, everyone should just go somewhere far, just maybe for a week or,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah, 100%. And I also wanted to tell people that it's not as it's not as big of a mountain as you think. Like, and I think finances are a big part of it. And I'll break down a little bit of the numbers. I left my job with $39,000 in the bank, which is actually pretty good. And I was able to get through 4 years with that. Okay. um, with the caveat that I didn't, not counting Australia because I made a lot of money in Australia. But before, so let's call it 3 years. I was able to get through 3 solid years with about 39K. So if we broke it down, like let's say maybe 10K a year, you could probably get by, especially if you go to countries where your money will go further. For example, like Asia, like Thailand, and then India
where I'm
was able
from.
to like you can live like a king or queen in certain countries, which is pretty cool,
Yeah,
and it gets you far. So I think it's absolutely feasible and doable for anyone to do it, and I think that you should do it sooner rather than later, especially when you don't have things tying you down, as in like having a child or having a significant other that you have to um to account for. And if anything, I think that traveling can help you find a significant other if you want, and it'll open you up. And another thing too, it it's nice to have a partner, but it's also nice to be by yourself and to have that relationship with yourself because at the end of the day all you have is you,
yeah,
like partners, significant others, they come and go, like friends come and go, but being able to build that relationship with yourself and to be confident in yourself that I am all I need and that I will be okay and that I will survive. I've been through some kind of dicey situations, I think, and
yeah,
being able to survive that, being able to be calm. Jiu-jitsu, by the way, well, let's circle back a little bit to jiu-jitsu. Like, doing jiu-jitsu and how it translates to the rest of your life, right? Like doing jiu-jitsu and having that mindset and the things that I learned on the mat helped me significantly when I was traveling abroad. And if anything, jiu-jitsu gave me that confidence in myself to be okay by myself abroad
yeah,
without anyone else to around me. It's like if I screw up, I'm screwed. Like I put myself in situations where like I need to get this right. I need to do the right thing, eh, or else I'm screwed. And but jujitsu has given me that sense of calm and being able to solve problems under pressure, especially.
yeah,
So I recommend travel, yes, but absolutely jujitsu. Kumite
yeah,
lifestyle. Like anyone listening, like if you're on the fence about jujitsu, like please just give it a try. Like it's so good. It'll help you in the rest of your life. It's helped me so much, not only in being good with myself and solidifying that relationship with myself and also building my character, but also it's a ready set community wherever you go. Like if you move, if you're the type of person who's a bit of a vagabond, or you don't really know where you're going, or you go somewhere and you just like I need a community, I need friends. Like jujitsu is a ready made community. You go into any school, like any good school, and everyone's welcoming. He's like, "Hi, welcome to this school. Yeah, be our buddy. Come on, like let me
yeah,
show you around. Yeah, oh, you do jujitsu too? Awesome. What belt are you? Oh, that's fine. Yeah, we all have to start somewhere. Oh my gosh, you're a black belt. That's so cool. Can I roll you?" Like everyone is so nice. I I I don't think I've met anyone who wasn't nice in the jiu-jitsu community. I know like every community has bad apples, you know, and there's bad apples everywhere, but like 99% of the people that I've met just have been so nice and so welcoming, and it's nice to feel that way, um, especially when you're in a place that you're not familiar with.
Yeah, for sure. And before I kind of, before we kind of deep dive into our roles as instructors, you said something where jujitsu, you come in and you kind of have that, like you feel like you're part of a community. Because I truly
Yeah.
believe that, whether people come in to do jujitsu for self-defense or for just a lifestyle or a sport, whatever your objective is, ultimately people stay for the community. And
Oh
I know
yes, yes.
and I know that's something that we continue to strive very hard to work here at Gracie Smyrna. And I know that's transcended for you as you've traveled and made your new home with where you're at now. So now I want to kind of talk about how, and like you mentioned this when you say like Jose runs pretty much the, business side and where your role comes in. It's like every martial artist that I've talked to, as far as like owning a school, they always say the same thing. It's like, yeah, like we wear different hats, It's like, yeah,
Oh yeah.
teaching jujitsu is just the very small part of what I do. Meaning like, yeah, I mean, like on schedule, I'm teaching, I'm assisting, but over time and I can use you as a great example, or we can use each other. Like people come to you for advice, people come to you to vent, and like Muriel, that was something I was not prepared for in the beginning. I've gotten
Yeah.
much I've gotten much better at it now because I really feel like martial arts, just in general from the teaching side, is a really much a personality type base because
Yes.
you can be a great like skilled practitioner, but you could suck as a teacher. So
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
yeah,
And so being a black belt does not mean you're a good teacher.
for
I mean,
sure.
heck, like if you're not a black belt yet, even at a blue belt, you are amazing. You know, you like some people have it. Some people are great teachers, but being a black belt and being a great teacher not always the same thing, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, for sure. And it's just like it's either you have it or you don't because I've been around so just real quick, not to go down a rabbit hole, but with Gracie University, I so and you can understand because you've been out to Gracie University, or maybe it was Gracie Academy at the time. So you've been around great environments, even when you were at the CTC in Baltimore when you were there. And I remember Hiron saying something along the lines, if you take 5 or 6 people and you take a picture of them and they're all wearing geese. One could be 13, one could be 20, one could be 80.
Yeah.
You see a picture of them, they're like, okay, that makes sense. They do jujitsu. But if you took those same 5 people and you had them in regular clothes and they were all standing next to each other, you took a picture, most people are like, that doesn't add up. Why is that person? But jujitsu just has that way of connecting. And most of all my great friends, you know, being one of them, just over time, it's because of martial arts. So it's more than just fighting. It's more than just a mindset. It really is a lifestyle.
It is.
But like if you apply it. So I wanted to ask, so your role, what obstacles have you had to overcome, or what were some of your expectations before becoming a not an owner, but more of a impact role, if you will, at your academy? It's
The
something
way
that,
you put it.
yeah, like if someone told, like something that you wish you knew before you kind of, went head first, helping Jose
Oh,
out.
oh man. Well, first off, I never expected to be an impact, like to have the type of impact that I have, but because I'm basically like married to Jose, you know, like we're partners, like we're like significant others. Like it's like I am kind of the equivalent of like the first lady, you know, at the war room. And so you mentioned like multiple hats of and I wouldn't say it's an obstacle per se, but it's like the challenges that come with wearing multiple hats, you know? Like I do coach, especially during class, like when it comes to like the women, like during like after like Jose or like the professor teaches, then you know like I do the technique, my partner does the technique, and then I check in on like the women around me to make sure like everyone gets it. Do you have any questions? Like, and then it's like, oh, they don't understand. Okay, so let's do it at the same time together, type of thing. So that's like one aspect. I created and managed our website. Very proud of that. Like that's one of my skills. Like I made create and manage our website. Um, I help with like our AdSense or like Google and like the marketing aspect in terms of, so this is where my promo comes in. I created the door hangers, and then I get some of our students to hang them up around neighborhoods. So this is our guerrilla marketing, uh, like promo stuff for the school. I manage events. So we have had the World Series of Jiu-Jitsu host their tournament at our school twice, and I am the liaison. I'm the person who helps manage that and that aspect of it. Um, oh gosh. And then in terms the admin, we had someone else do that. Uh, but before that, like Jose was doing all of it, and so yes, it's a lot to deal with. But the funny thing is, like all of that doesn't even compare to the people aspect. Like the hardest, but also most rewarding part is the people aspect. Like, but the people are also what make it, you know.
Yeah.
And like right now, and we're not really gonna into it too much, but uh, Jose is in the other room dealing with an ex-student right now who is upset because of not being acknowledged. She feels like she wasn't being acknowledged enough, or getting her promotions on time, even though she was getting her promotions on time. And as far as acknowledgement, like she would usually go to the lunch class, and Jose like teaches the evening class. So, when we have people get promoted in the evening class, we post it on social media and stuff. And she felt like she wasn't getting posted enough on social media. But it's like we we don't see you often enough. Like if you came to the evening class, we'd be happy to, acknowledge you more. And it's not like we're trying to, like I don't know, but that's that aspect. And then we also recently let go of one of our head professors. Uh, there were a lot of reasons with that, but I guess one of the catalysts of that situation was that he had canceled a Friday class that he was supposed to be teaching. Um, and he put it in the group chat, but he didn't give Jose a heads up to let him know, hey, I'm canceling the class, and to give Jose time to like cover. And then Jose was trying to call him and text him to be like, hey, what's going on? And for 4 days, he basically ghosted Jose. And
Mm.
and so that was that was actually probably that was the catalyst, but that wasn't the big issue. So we let a head professor go. So, and that was in the last 2 weeks. That was just in the last 2 weeks. Both of those events happened in the last like 2 weeks. So it's been a lot.
Yeah.
And then before that, Jose used to have a business partner. And this happened, I want to say 2, 3 years ago. The school is about 4 years old. And the business partner, the reason why Jose parted ways with him was because he was lazy. Like it, the business partner thought that all he had to do was teach his classes, but there's so much more to running a business than just teaching classes. And I think
Yeah.
you would
Yeah.
notice, it's not just teaching classes, also doing the admin. It's doing like the licensing and the taxes and stuff. It's taking out the trash. It's cleaning. This guy would never clean.
Cleaning. Preach, preach. That's the
Uh,
biggest part, hygiene and cleanliness. And
oh my
and
gosh.
I,
And yeah.
yeah, no, not to cut you off because like that's I was talking to someone recently on the podcast as well, and they said one of the things that they didn't realize was like, yeah, sometimes you're gonna have to get on your knees and just, scrub and clean. But you have to understand, like, I think of it like this. If I'm gonna invite someone over to my house, especially for the
Yeah.
first time,
Mhm.
I want my house to be clean. So it's like
Right.
so your
Mhm.
dojo really is, or the hygiene really is a reflection of you, not only as an instructor, but as a person. So when I started to really understand that mindset, and I'm so grateful to have Howard as my boss and just life coach and best friend. It's kind of like, he's wearing all these different hats as well within our own friendship dynamic. But I've learned a lot, and from the business side, and I'm glad we're talking about it because you're right, it's not just the teaching, it's everything else that encompasses, just keeping the lights on, and it goes back to like how much do we charge students, what's fair, what's not fair, because you don't want to rip anyone off, but at the same
Yeah.
time, we also want to be, sustainable
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
because at the end of the day, this is a business.
Can I touch on that real quick? Something I learned from Jose, Ashley, and I love it. And I'm gonna say it, and it's gonna sound really blunt, okay? But I'll talk about it. He
Yeah.
said we don't cater to poor people, okay? We charge what we charge. and we're not the cheapest, but we're not the most expensive, but we're good. Like I think we are worth what we charge. That being like, we're not gonna charge $80 to like there's some place around here that charge $8. It's like, how do you keep the lights on with that? Like, I
Yeah.
don't know how. Like, no, we charge, we charge. That being said, though, Jose is like the most generous person I've ever met. Like, especially like, it's not about the money. Like we don't cater to poor people, but it's not about the money. And I say that because we have had students who have lost their jobs or going through a hard time, or or like, for whatever reason they can't afford it, so he cuts them a break, like he's done that like for people where he's let them, like, it's like, just help coach the kids class, and that'll cover you. And and what I found is that, like, his generosity, like, it all comes back, like we can afford to do that right now. And his thought is that, God gave me this school. I am merely a custodian who, tries to keep the lights on. If God wants this to keep going, he will. Like, we are here to help support the community. And like, if, like, we obviously, like, can't give free training to everyone, but he has helped people out. And we're thriving, we are successful. It all comes back. Like, and yeah, maybe we'll lose a student here or there for whatever reason, but we, like, for every one that we lose, we've like gained three. And it's astounding to, like, can we talk a little bit about religion or God, just a little
A
bit?
little bit. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Absolutely.
basic.
Yeah.
So growing up, I was like born and raised Roman Catholic, but I was very rebellious against it because I don't like having things forced on me. Okay. And when I met and talked to Jose, he is a very, like, Christian man. Like, he believes in God. And it's rubbed off on me in a really good way. And I've seen it too, like the power of God, the power of, like, being good, and how that manifests, like we have had some really hard times in the last couple of years, like running the school, where I remember there was one month when we lost 9 students for various reasons, like some moved away, or the kids didn't want to do jiu-jitsu anymore or whatever. And I remember him being really stressed out, and I said, and there was a Bible verse, and I kind of forget what it was, but it was about, um God had, um there were these fishermen and they weren't catching any fish, and God had, like, he did something, and like Jesus, like, did something, and that they were able to catch a bunch of fish. And the line said, and the net wasn't torn. The net wasn't torn. Like, they were able to catch all this fish, like more than the net could probably hold, but the net wasn't torn. And what I got out of that is that God protects what he gives you. And Jose's always said, like, God has given me the school. And I remember having a conversation with him when we lost a bunch of students. I said, look, God protects what he gives you. It will be okay. And it was like I think the next month we signed like 11 more students, and then 15 after that, type of thing. And I have seen time and time again, like, the times when it's been hard, when we've had challenges, like, just the good comes back threefold. Whatever we lost, like, comes back threefold. And I've seen it, and it astounds me.
Yeah.
And so yeah, like, it's been kind of cool to be a part of that, and to have that rub off on me, and to also develop my relationship with God, because I've been so rebellious for so long. I've also been going back to church. I started going back to church this week. One of our students, who's also one of our best friends, her and her family, they invited us to church earlier this year for her daughter's baptism,
Yeah.
and we went. And then, like, we've been going pretty much every week, and it's great.
No, that's
It-
awesome.
yeah,
No, it's cool how, and like it's amazing how well, and like the way you speak about Jose when he comes up, it's like because before you made your transition out there, I honestly thought that you were content just being not alone, but being single. And like you have preached to me so many times, and I say the word preach because I truly believe that you mean when you say, like, at the end of the day, we are the only, you know, like you're the only person that you have at the end of the day. But how cool is it that you can still, like, because no one wants to be alone. I believe in that. But at the
yeah,
same time, though, you gotta find your person. And the way you talk about Jose, the way your like eyes light up when you, like you mentioned him, That's pretty special. So
Thank you.
you're welcome. So I know that must have been a very in like initially a very tough maybe challenge as far as uprooting yourself cross country. And here you are. I mean, it's been cool to
Yeah.
see, It's so I'm curious. So was it and like you don't got to go like into the specifics about him specifically if you choose not to, but there's clearly something about him that really like changed you, I feel, because you do have a partner and you said that, quite a few times. So it's interesting how you used to think one way, which isn't necessarily wrong, but now you have a totally different mind shift. And I really feel like as we get older, I think every 5 years they say like the way we think, the way we see the world changes, as in it should. So I think because you've had that experience traveling and you've experienced the ups and downs, it's like along the way you've said to yourself, whether it's by accident or design, it's like I know what I want and I know what I'm worth. And I feel like you're there, I mean, it's a continuous journey, of course, but it's been great to watch that. And I'm so excited for you. And just the way you talk about
Thanks.
the business and, even just being vulnerable, saying like the ups and downs, because yeah, there are periods of time when, sometimes we lose students. It happens, that's the downside of this industry. People come and go all the time, but when you find people that you can like relate to, you do everything you can to, keep that connection, just like jujitsu. So, it's been awesome to hear that. So now I'm curious. So what's next for you? Like, meaning, I know you talked about the school, but what are some of your goals, before the end of this year or, you know what I mean?
I like one of my goals is that I want to get a six-figure job in the next like year or two, and I'm trying to figure out how to get that. But the funny thing is, I think one should always have goals, and I want to have that goal. But I'm also perfectly content with everything I have right now too. Like if I don't get that goal, I'm
Yeah.
still fine. Like I feel like I'm still peaking. I have everything, pretty much everything that I could want and need, and I'm so grateful for that. I have a dog, by the way. Can I share real quick?
Yeah.
She's been on
Abs-
my lap this whole time. This is my
Oh,
dog,
wow.
Super.
Hey,
She's
what's
so
up?
she um dude, I have a dog. Okay, again, if we could just talk about that for a sec. One of the things that I always wanted when I was like traveling and abroad was a dog, and I've never had one before. My family's a cat family, and cats are cool and all. The dogs are where it's at. Don't come
Yeah.
at me.
Yeah. No,
Like
no,
no,
it's
like there's a reason why they're called like man's best friend. But traveling a lot, like it's not conceivable, or it's not a good situation to necessarily like have a dog. And for me, like a dog like symbolizes like stability and home, and I do things with her, and I love it. I love having my dog. So
it's like raising a kid,
it
sort of,
is.
right?
She feels like kids. My any maternal yearnings I have, which I don't really have any. Like she is
Yeah.
my child. I, I don't know if I can say this, but like I'm one of those people like who just people always told me that like you might change your mind, you might want that you'll want a kid someday, and that I'm not saying that switch won't ever switch for me, but it hasn't switched for me, and I don't think it will. And I'm good with that.
Same.
I like having my time and my flexibility, and I'm gonna be straight up. I'm a selfish person, and I don't being selfish isn't necessarily a bad thing. Like I'm self-aware enough to know that I'm a selfish person and I live my lifestyle in that way. Like I can't take care of a child and I don't necessarily want to. That being said, like I have friends and I know people who want children, and I really honestly hope that they get what they want. I want that for people who want that.
Yeah. It's like, I mean, raising kids is like been because again, I don't have kids of my own, so we've definitely like I feel we fall in the same category there, and I don't have any aspirations right now. I mean, I'm 35, so we're pretty much the same age, and I say to myself, and I say this to people all the time, I contribute to kids by teaching them jujitsu, teaching
Yes,
them karate. So I feel like
yes.
we do our part big time when it comes to the the development of the next generation. And, people will say sometimes they could say, "Hey man, like you're really good with kids," and I just stop them there, like, nope, nope, because I know what you're gonna say. Like, I just don't want kids right now, and I'm not like I don't know because I'm selfish too with my time. If the time is the one thing we can't get back, but I also feel like everyone's not suited to be parents because how
Oh,
many stories have we heard about, there's parents that don't want their kids. And I think that sucks,
that
because
that is, yeah.
yeah, because I was adopted and thankfully my parents that adopted me are fantastic, still phenomenal. But I'd like to believe that my biological parents just didn't have the means to take care of me. So I've kind of framed it, my like in that mindset there because I don't know what happened, but I just know that, it's not what I want right now. And it's good and it's not selfish in a sense, Muriel, because I think it's a mature response,
Fair.
you know? But no, that's cool. So that's awesome. And you mentioned about, wanting a six-figure job, and I totally forgot to even ask you this in the beginning of the conversation, but I'm just going to add it in now. So I know you
Yeah.
were going to school there for a while and you were, working on a degree. Um, so what came of that?
So I like to learn. I like to dabble in things and get a bunch of certifications, which I do have. If y'all ever want to find me on LinkedIn, you can see all the things that I've done, like in terms of jobs and certifications. I just tagged it onto the list. It makes me feel good. It makes me feel good to know things to have certifications. It it makes me feel good to be prepared. In my opinion, I feel like the more I know, the more prepared I am so that I can do anything and I won't become obsolete. That's a
Mm,
big thing for me, is especially with like AI is this big old thing. Like how AI is gonna like take over our jobs, blah blah blah, whatever. I don't know. But I personally never want to become obsolete and I want to survive and be okay. Like, so whatever happens with the world, I just want to know that I have the skills to do whatever I need to do to survive. Whether or not AI takes my job, it's like, okay, well then I have another set of skills where I can do something else to make money and eat food.
yeah, for sure. It's all about survival, right? At the end of the day. No, that's awesome. So, man, this has been man, it's been so awesome, just catching up. I could talk to you forever, It's just it's great that we've had this opportunity just to share a little bit more about, just your traveling experiences because you shared stuff that I don't recall you ever sharing with me. So it's nice to kind of hear that in this limelight, if you will. And then, talking about jujitsu, helping running the school and even your faith and again, and I don't want to go down a rabbit hole with this, but I too myself have kind of been exploring the possibility of, maybe there is something to faith, maybe there is something to God, because I mean, being an only child, being very free spirited, and I don't think that's ever going to change. But, if my friends and family believe, or if they have this strong nature in them, like there is something greater than, there's something to it. So I also started going to church, not regularly, but it's the church that, some of the folks at the academy go to. And it's
Nice.
been
Nice.
and it's been eye-opening. And the cool thing is no one's forcing me because I'm the same
Yeah.
way. I don't want that because like the second it's forced on me, or
Mhm.
if anything's forced on you, it no longer becomes genuine. It's like, oh, okay, so I have to do this. No, it's like this podcast. I mean, I don't have to do this. I get to do it, and that's the way that I try to approach every situation. Even jujitsu, yeah, it's my job, but I don't have to be here. H isn't making me be here. I choose to be here and I get to be here, you know?
Yes, you do. You do.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So Muriel, before we close out, do you have anything that you are still pondering, thinking about that you would love to share?
Yeah, I do. And I want to talk about you actually. I feel like I've been through a lot in my life and having friendships with good people has shaped me to be the person that I am today. And I just want to give so much like love and appreciation to you and also to Howard. Howard, if you're in this, I appreciate you, I miss you. You're such a good person. Like, I think it's so important for people to have good friends and also good role models. And both you and Howard are that for a lot of people, including myself. It, I really appreciate it. I really appreciate it, and I hope you know how good you guys are and the good that you put out into the world. It comes back and it affects people, and it's like 10 times over. You know, like all the good that you've been putting out in terms of teaching, the things that you guys teach, the lifestyle, building a good character, being like loyal, being good friends. You know, having good jujitsu, of course. Anything like jujitsu is like on the bottom of the list of like all the good things that you guys teach. Like, you know, like it's not just it's not about jiu-jitsu, you know, it's the lifestyle, it's the character. um it's putting good out there. So I just want to say thank you, you know, because if it wasn't for you guys were a home for me, you know, when I was like between traveling, you know, and Howard would like let me like, you know, I would come and go, and he knew that, but he would always let me come and
Yeah.
go, you know. And he was always welcoming and always kind, and you guys were always kind like whenever I would come back. And it felt like coming home every time I would go to the school. It felt like coming home, and I love that I could be there. I'm so glad that you guys created a place for me and for other people to call home and to teach us how to be good people.
Yeah, you're welcome. And I want to thank you as well for being also motivation for myself. I see a lot of myself in different people. And, when I look at you, I see, the adventurous type, not really like you care, but at the same time you don't. And I don't want you to think of that in a bad way because,
I get what you mean.
yeah, and it's just nice to be able to have had shared that moments and just the stories and just I mean like we take so much for granted, and life happens so fast and it's crazy how one day you can be hanging out with someone and then next week they're up and gone, and not necessarily a bad thing. It's just we don't I feel like we don't value connection as much as we say we should
Mm.
or lack thereof. So no, I want to thank you and like always rooting for you. I'm always in your corner and very excited to see what you and Jose, have in store. Do you guys have any plans on coming back to the East Coast anytime soon?
Probably not. I think things are pretty hectic and happen for a while. He doesn't take vacations
Mhm.
like ever. So I'll drag. I try to drag him out every once in a while. Like our vacations are like camping.
Sure.
Um, but you know, if we ever do go back, or when we do go back, probably the next couple of years, we'll come visit. You will definitely be our first stop.
For sure. Yeah. And yeah, you're always welcome to come back to Gracie Smyrna. Like you said, you always have a home. So good. Muriel, where can people find you if they want to know more about you? And also where can they find information on on your school?
So my Instagram is happytravelcone@gmail.com. Or well, that's also my email. So it's the same thing. My Instagram is happytravelcone, and so is my email. So feel free to hit me up. And then as far as the War Room School of Jiu-Jitsu, it's ABQ for Albuquerque, abqwarroom.com. And also same thing for Instagram. You or anyone else listening, you're welcome to come by. Like we don't charge mat fees. Like, what the heck even is that? People who charge mat fees are so rude. My opinion. That's just my opinion. Don't come at me. But like if you're ever in Albuquerque, New Mexico, please come by, hang out with us, train. Yeah, we'd love to meet you guys and yeah, make new friends.
I love it. All right. Yeah, so you guys heard it. So if you're around that area, guys, definitely hit up Muriel and Jose l- and like and like you said earlier, just to kind of piggyback, if you haven't tried jujitsu, definitely try it because if you and I had not done jujitsu, we wouldn't be here right now. So I would say it's definitely had a tremendous impact on us. All right.
Yeah,
So Muriel, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you for your time. This was awesome. It was great to connect. Miss you a lot, but I know you're doing great things out there, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
thanks, Nick. Appreciate you guys. Kumite lifestyle.
Peace out.